Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mountain Lake Journal. I'm Tom Halleck. The debate over the future of a state-owned historic rail corridor that runs through the heart of the Adirondacks here to the Tri-Lakes has become one of the most contentious issues in the Adirondack Park in recent years. The two state agencies that oversee the 120-mile rail line want to fix up the tracks that run from Big Moose to Tupper Lake, but then tear up the last 34 miles at the far northern end between Tupper Lake and Lake Placid and replace it with a multi-use trail that can be used for hiking and biking and snowmobiling in the winter. The Adirondack Park Agency is asking the public to weigh in for another week, but is expected to sign off on the plan. Opponents, though, aren't ready to give up and argue the state is overlooking a significant piece of the park's history, not to mention an important economic engine that would be lost. And as our Jack LeDuc reports in this week's cover story, they're hoping to convince state officials that the tracks should be preserved.
These rails are not dead and abandoned.
For about 300 supporters here, their chants and placards express their strong opinions. The full rail corridor runs over 100 miles from Utica to Lake Placid. The track in the middle of that stretch is unused today despite passing through a highly scenic area. Under the new plan, this area would become part of the rail trail corridor, making it available to hikers, bikers, and snowmobilers. The proposal would facilitate the extension of rail service from the Big Moose Station to the Tupper Lake Station. The travel corridor between Tupper Lake and Lake Placid would be converted to a recreational trail. The entire corridor will remain in state ownership and classified by the Adirondack Park State Land Master Plan as a travel corridor. People at the rally say they don't want to see any rail sections removed. They want to see the rail portion end in Saranac Lake, not Tupper Lake.
That's the real win-win. Till you get to Tupper Lake, you're on the edge of the Tri-Lakes, and you're on the edge of the middle of the Adirondacks. If you get to Saranac Lake, you only a shuttle bus from any one of the hoteliers and people in Lake Placid would be able to pick passengers up there and bring them to their hotel.
Because the United States was such a big country, Americans recognized the immediate advantage of the steam locomotive in moving large loads and passengers. So, from the early 1800s, Americans began a love affair with the railroads that spread across the country.
Choo, 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 boogie, woo, woo, boogie, woogie. Choo, 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 boogie. Take me right back to the track, Jack.
There's lots of reasons why this should be preserved. I think, first of all, it represents a very important part of our heritage, and I think we should be a people that embrace our heritage and do everything that we can to preserve it. It's part of how we know who we are as a people and as a region.
Back then, the rail served as a lifeline to the Adirondacks, bringing in food, building supplies, and cash-bearing tourists. Several major rail lines, including the New York Central, served the area daily, but stopped service several decades ago for lack of revenue. Now, trucks and automobiles bring products and tourists to the Adirondacks. Today, only 2 scenic tourist trains use part of the line from Remsen to Big Moose and from Lake Placid to Saranac Lake. The line from Lake Placid to Saranac Lake is on the roster to be eliminated from train service, opening it for bikers, hikers, skiers, and snowmobilers. Rail supporters recently rallied to save all the rails.
People are here for a whole variety of reasons. I think for some people it's the experience of having ridden on the railroads and experience what a joyful experience that is. People also know that the possibilities for this railroad are much richer, and people understand the connection of this railroad to our history. I think people are here because they understand what this operation means to the economic vitality of Lake Placid and Saranac Lake.
If given the green light, rail removals would also eliminate a new and highly successful Explorer rail bike business that got rolling this summer without any government funding. They did it on their own. Their future is now dim.
We would have to relocate. The assumption is that we'll just go south of Tupper, but unfortunately that is not an ideal location for rail biking. It's very flat. It doesn't have the same grade changes that make this experience so fantastic that 10,000, 11,000 people have enjoyed just in the 100 days. It's been difficult for us. We're looking outside of New York, and we have some interest from other railroads around the country which are very excited about the idea of rail biking and also very excited about the multi-million dollars in economic impact that we've had so far this season.
Catchpool said that the economic impact this summer alone adds up to $3.8 million.
We're going to be operating through the end of next season, and that's important. The logistics of marketing and whatnot are difficult if, in fact, they do decide to pull the tracks up. But this is far from over. There are too many things that have yet to be revealed that are going to make it, I think, very difficult for the state to proceed with this.
Things like what?
Well, economic impact, for example. We supplied a lot of data when they were doing the study, and the recommendation suggests that the economic impact of the new arrangement with the trail will be $2.7 million. And we know right now that we have an economic impact over triple that with the railroad and the rail explorers. So it doesn't make any sense to pull up track and take a third the economic impact. There'll be 35 or 40,000 fewer feet on these village sidewalks in 2017. I don't think the merchants are going to be happy with that.
Rail advocates maintain that there are hundreds of miles of skiing, hiking, and snowmobile trails all around us, but only one train track in the heart of the Adirondacks. For Mountain Lake Journal, I'm Jack LeDuc in Saranac Lake.